pandemic.
The last show I did was Halloween.
Everyone's being let in. Hello, everybody. As you're slowly drifting in here, we're going to have an awesome time in store for you tonight. And welcome to the pop-up show, part of Comedy Therapy, and soon to also be part of Broadway Comedy Club. We welcome you guys here tonight. Thank you all so much for coming out. And we've got a tremendous show in store for you. And we've got a very funny host for you. You may recognize him from the Center Square, all the way from Brooklyn, New York. Put him together, Mr. Stuart Gibble. Stuart Gibble, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Jim. And thanks everyone for coming. Just so you people on the West Coast know, it's snowing here. Okay, you know what snow is, right? Was it down to 70 in Southern California? Okay, so this frozen water is falling out of the sky. So we're all stuck indoors. You enjoy your lives. Anyway, I live in Brooklyn, and I love Brooklyn. One thing I love almost as much as Brooklyn is words and language. I like reading, I like comedy, but sometimes I hear a phrase and I just, why? For example, you probably heard this before, love what you do and you'll never have to work a day in your life. Really? I mean, what if I love smoking weed and masturbating? Who's going to pay me? You know, I'm not a cam girl. And the other phrase that just drives me crazy is the phrase walk of shame. Let me see if I understand this correctly. I come into work wearing what I wore yesterday after having a night of fun. You went home, showered, changed, ate in front of the TV, watched some more TV, and went to bed alone. I think you should call what I did the strut of glory. There is no shame for anyone who comes in the next day a little worse for wear. And also, sometimes I wonder how people name their businesses. Dick's Sporting Good. Our prices can't be beat. Or how about BJ's Warehouse? BJ. There's a lot of combinations of letters. Why did you choose those two? And apparently, the owner of BJ's named it after his daughter. So that's even worse. You gave your daughter a BJ? What were you thinking? I mean, BJ, she was very popular. She was on the Proms Queen court, and she was voted by the yearbook committee as most likely to swallow.
Ouch.
The other thing that people give weird names to in my neighborhood is all these daycare centers. And they've been there for 30 years, and they're all like little geniuses or baby Einsteins. And I'm thinking, again, how many Nobel Prize winners have graduated from your daycare center? I'm guessing you've had more plumbers. Although, since I live in Park Slope, they probably have a fair amount of lawyers and white-collar criminals. So, they could advertise that way. So before we begin the rest of the show, I want to tell you one story about a neighborhood I used to live in, Canarsie. And the way I got to Canarsie was like I got a job in East New York managing a pillow factory, which I really don't like talking about because everyone makes the same joke. Oh, was that your dream job? Or they do this. Oh, I bet you slept a lot on the job. I never slept on the job. I spent time in the back factory doing quality control. And basically, I was supervising the workers, which means I was the white man with the clipboard who would walk around and then get yelled at by the boss because we weren't making enough money. But anyway, I got the job because I wanted to stay in New York. My kids were here. And I needed a place to live. And the secretary said, hey, Canarसी's a great place to live, and it's close. You could walk. Here's what you need to know about Canarsie. Like 30, 40, 50 years ago, it was a Jewish Italian neighborhood. And so, and since that time, I would say 99% of the population is Caribbean immigrants. But they kept the old sign. So there's still like a Jewish deli, which is no longer kosher. Now it's halal, but it's just, the same concept. And of course, the Italian restaurant is not run by old Italian men. It's run by people from, Jamaica. And most of the people that live there live with their families. So you see 1, 2, 3 generations in the same kind of townhouse. And one of the ways they get by is they rent out their lower floor, which sometimes is in the basement. And I called it living under the American dream, because these people were, paying their mortgage. I was helping out, and they were making it in America. And I did find a place that wasn't that was above ground, but it was still the first floor. And it was so realistic that next door, they had a rooster in the backyard, which is fantastic if you don't have an alarm clock. Let me tell you, 5 days a week, that sucker was he was waking me up. So the thing about Caribbeans is that they're very proud. And every morning at like 6:30 when I was walking to work, there was people on the sidewalk sweeping the leaves. There was never a leaf left on the sidewalk. But then it snowed. And the snow just sat there and sat there and sat there. And when I asked the landlord, what about the snow? He goes, it will melt. Apparently they're not allowed. No one has snow shovels in the Caribbean, and they don't know how to deal with snow. And the other thing that was really kind of interesting was when hurricane season came up, and then they were predicting a big storm, and half the people were hoarding supplies like you wouldn't believe. Like the world was ending. There were shopping carts of water, toilet paper, food, everything you need. And the other half was going, wind's she's gonna blow. Yeah, wind's gonna blow. Don't worry about it. So I didn't know what team I was on. I didn't know if I didn't want to hoard too much stuff, but I wanted the essentials like beer and Diet Coke in case there was. I didn't really make a lot of friends there, but I did develop a taste for the jerk chicken. I have not yet tried the curried goat. And that rooster, one day, he wasn't there anymore. And I really, 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 really want to believe that he was taken to a farm upstate where he had a whole hen house to service. And every morning he got up and he did the strut of glory, because he had something to cock-a-doodle-doo about. That's the story I'm telling myself, that he's living his best days somewhere upstate. Anyway, we have a fantastic show, a lot of great comedians, and you're going to laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh. It's guaranteed. And first up, I wanted to introduce him. He's very eager. Marco Barrios. Come on, Marcos.
Hey, thank you, Stuart. Appreciate that. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Marco. Hi, guys.
Hi.
I used to perform stand-up comedy a number of years ago, and then I quit. It's just one of those things. And lately, I've just been itching to get on, just as a creative outlet, but also for my sanity. Just need to get out there. So I said to myself, now that old comedy shows are happening in front of your computer, it's like, if you don't do it now, when? So decided to jump back on. So thank you for having me, guys. I really, really appreciate that. So. Yeah. So this year for me, it's been marked by the pandemic, as basically everyone in the world. I had it. A number of my family members had it. So, it for us, it was real. It was real, and it was real pretty hard. So it's kind of funny how this year, besides the pandemic and everything, the overall theme has been people sort of choosing their own reality, but not in a good way. Like, people are like, hey, the pandemic is not real, or, masks are just a plot to control you, and 3 million people voted illegally. So, so that's a reality people chose. And I look at myself, and the one thing is I'm in denial about how much weight I've gained during the pandemic, and it makes me feel small. Like, people are this grandiose, just, massive conspiracy theories. And in my head, I'm like, I still weigh 230 pounds, damn it. I look good, as I'm just starting to shop in the big and tall section of Kohl's. It's I don't think I can maintain that reality for myself too much longer. So I think I'm just gonna lose it. So yeah, I used to be a supervising chef of concessions at Citi Field. That's gone. So just trying to scrounge up wherever I can. So I decided to give comedy a shot. So since comedy pays so well, so yeah, I'm like, why try to make money and pay rent when I can just tell funny jokes? So yeah, I had to move. I recently moved. I literally moved about 2 weeks ago. I moved last Saturday, or the Saturday before last, and it was insane. I had to move in a hurry because my best friend / roommate decided that she needed to move back to New Jersey to be close with her family. So, that sort of happened, but no, the good thing is, I sort of upgraded because I moved in to the same building as my girlfriend. So I didn't move in with her. It's not like we live in the same apartment. I live a floor above. So that's kind of awesome because it has like all the benefits, but none of the drawbacks. It's like, if she calls me, she's like, hey, baby, you want to come down? I'm like, I'm sorry, baby. And I just keep playing Xbox, but, we should. If we lived together, I couldn't do that. It's like, what do you mean you're busy? You're playing Xbox. I can see you. So so that's the thing. But don't get me wrong. I love her very much. And today she did one of those things that people that have been in long relationships know. Like, that being in love is not enough. That the relationship is a journey. You give a little, and today she did one of those things where, I had to do. So it's about like 4 or 5 o'clock, and it's snowing, and we sort of live here close to the river, so there's a lot of wind, right? So she calls me, she video calls me, and she's being sweet, and she's like, baby, you want to go walk in the park in the snow? And I'm in my room. I got my hot cup of coffee, my hot cup of tea with me. I'm in my sweats. I am just, enjoying life. But the way she looked, and she just wanted to go walk in the snow. So I said, baby, I will be right there. And we met up and we walked to the park, and I just had the snow and the wind all up in my face. And I bought this mask thing, and because of the weight I have not gained, it didn't fit properly. So it's like I'm holding the thing on my face because it will not fit on my head. So I'm holding it with my hand, and I wear glasses. So at this point, I have to take off my glasses because they're all getting foggy. I can't see where we're going. The snow is pelting me in the face with the wind. And my girlfriend is just holding my hand. And she looked at me and she smiled. And then we took a picture on the bench, and it made the whole thing worth it. So yeah, it was very nice. And that's how I'm gonna end up my set. So thank you guys for listening to me ramble. I really, really appreciate it.
Marco, thanks for coming out of retirement.
Woo.
Okay.
Woo! Marco! Marco!
Don't make it another 30 years.
Oh no, I gotta.
Maybe next week or the week after.
Well, Stuart, I dug up all my old jokes and none of them work anymore, so I gotta start writing. So
Well, I this is where I make a joke. Were you talking about dinosaurs or what? How old are you? You don't look that old. But
I am about to turn the big 4-0, so yeah.
Yeah, so you're young.
Oh.
Anyway, your story about the snow reminded me of because I have kids. They're grown now, but it's like when you have kids, they want to go out in the snow, and you want to take them out to the snow because it's a fun activity. You're always telling your kids no, and but it's like one of the best and worst experiences in your life because they're having a great time and the snow is blowing in your face and you want to get out of there, but you don't want to tell your kids they can't play in the snow. And I had it even better or worse. I have a son and a daughter. They're twins. So the son wants to go out and play until he turns blue, up and down the hill. He doesn't care. And the daughter was like, okay, I did 2 rides. Can we go get hot chocolate now? So you're not supposed to have favorites, but you can imagine that the indoor activity of the hot chocolate was a little easier to take. So all I have to say is that if you ever had kids, you'll be in the same shoe or the same ship or whatever. They'll be somewhere. There'll be snow in your face and you'll be happy and miserable at the same time. That's my point. Okay, let's bring up our next comic. The other bearded gentleman who's going to teach us a few things. Mr. James DeSalvo.
James!
How are you? How are you? So Stu, the son and the daughter, huh?
Yes.
Those are their official names?
Yes.
Something like that? That's great. Very creative. I love it. That's good. So I've seen people wear their area codes in their t-shirts now that try to be cool or represent or whatever the kids say nowadays. 718, Brooklyn in the house. DC 202 in effect. 310, where Compton at? I don't know. The only number at my age I want to brag about is my cholesterol level, all right? HDL 100. Lipitor in the house, son. And I discovered there's a fine line between artistic and smug. Right? So yeah, you can go out there and collect artisanal flower pots and maybe paint toilet seats. Oh, this is quirky. Okay, but there was a guy in Jeopardy. Comes out, well, Alex, I write with a feathered quill pen. All right. It's fun. Oh, can I get okay, great. Plus, it's sustainable and great for the environment. Really? Great. So the Jeopardy contestant pool is now down to the framers of the Constitution. Yes. I'm sure he also tells time by sundial. And his powdered wigs are impeccable. Yes. I am a benevolent master of my tobacco plantation. I do treat both my slaves and my indentured servants with fairness. Yeah, he'll be on Jeopardy until 1865. Watched The Grinch the other day and I had a revelation. It was disturbing as a lapsed Catholic. Now, I realized if there was a Christmas in Whoville, that means that there had to have been a Who version of Jesus. There was a Who virgin birth, Who disciples, a Who Bible, but even more disconcerting to me, the fact that there was a who crucifixion.
Mhm.
How did that go? God. Jesus of Whoville was loved quite a lot, but the Romans who occupied Whoville did not. His preaching of love must end right now. We must stop this Jesus from preaching. But how? They thought very long and they thought very hard. How could they stop Jesus from going too far? We could whip him in public and shame him with glee. Then we'll nail him high on a cross for all Whoville to see. They found an apostle who'd snitch in a pinch, Judas Iscariot, known as the Grinch. With a bag full of silver tied to his waist, the Grinch ratted out Jesus with speed and great haste. The Romans beat Jesus as he trudged up the hill, bearing a cross on his back, feeling quite ill. When they reached the top where the cross was to stand, Romans nailed down his feet, and they nailed down his hands. The Romans raised up the cross for all Whoville to see. Jesus cried to the air, "Why has who forsaken me? I preached of your gospel, I was paid back with scorn. What do I get for my troubles? A crown made of thorns." After 3 very long days and 3 very long nights, Jesus slipped from this world, the victim of spite. He was laid in a cave to wither and rot. When his tomb was soon opened, his body was not. The apostles knew then, as Paul gave a nod, he has gone home to his Father at the right hand of God. Some worship the story, some find it quite funny, but this is the tale of the great Easter Bunny. And on that, I bid you a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and every other happy thing I've forgotten about. Thank you very much.
Woo!
Give it up for James.
James.
James, I'm speechless. I don't know how to respond in non-Susian language to that recital. I'm sorry. It can't be. All I'm going to say is that everyone who's performing tonight, put your Instagram or where you want people to follow you, type it in the chat so people can find you. Because again, as Jim said, we're doing shows forever because the pandemic apparently does not have an expiration date. So the best way is to follow us, put your stuff in the chat. And I'm going to, without further ado, and I really hope she doesn't do any Dr. Seuss because then I'll have nothing to say ever. From Atlanta, Isabel Pierre.
Spotlight me. I move it back to gallery view because I can't move my face being that big. So you guys, I've been doing affirmations like all winter long to make myself feel good, but it's not hitting the same anymore. So I went outside and I paid a guy $10 to tell me my ass was fat. I'm at the level of pandemic where I miss street harassment. I'm starting to miss microaggressions. Like I miss being the only Black person on an elevator and having someone move away and hold their purse. I miss the white hand reaching out slowly to touch my hair without my permission. You know, little forms of contact. You know, you guys, I miss them. I've been watching Disney movies, and I don't understand why, like fairy godmothers and like Mary Poppins, they always help like well-to-do children. It's like, meanwhile, just like a few miles down the road, you could help the kids who live in like the government housing, but they can't. They can only cure Christmas, not institutional racism. You know. I hate it on Instagram when people post like meaningful captions on the bottom of a selfie. It's like it's really, really okay if you were just feeling yourself and you got dressed and you set up the lighting and you felt hot Like, can we just, I don't want you to talk about some quote you read in some book that you only kind of read a few years ago.
Okay, I lost your volume.
You lost me?
I lost you for about 20 seconds, so back
What's
up.
the last thing we heard? This is all great stuff, you guys. So
The selfie joke.
Okay, just
we still here? We got me?
Yeah.
now you're loud and clear.
Now I'm loud and clear. I was ranting about selfies. Don't post.
The lighting.
Don't post meaningful quotes under your selfies if you just think you're hot. Instead, much more intelligent stuff, but we'll have to redo that. We'll have to go back, work on that. Looking at my notes here, you guys. So the big flex in Atlanta when you're dating is you own a home. The big flex, and the other big flex is guys do this a lot. I'm an entrepreneur. It's like, oh, okay, that's the thing. That's the thing everyone's promoting. And I was like, when I was in New York, what was the big flex? And the big flex in New York is I have my own apartment. And if you say you have a washer and dryer, like instant chemistry. I don't care what I thought about you before. So living in New York and dating, I'm suddenly now like super into you. Can't get enough of you. Being an actor for so many years, I think on some level prepared me for the pandemic and prepared me for COVID, because it prepared me for a lot of uncertainty. And I think the one thing I've thought about this year is how many people thought that they were actually in control of their own lives. You're not. You're definitely not.
Okay, we lost you again. We lost you. Isabel.
Isabel, your sound's going out.
Sounds going out?
We lost you after you said control of your lives.
And we all started laughing.
Which was
Well,
pretty
you know
funny.
what? I think we can cut it off there. I'll fix the internet issues some other time.
All right.
That's
All right.
it. Yes, the internet. We're stuck with it. We don't have a choice. When I was a kid, we had to actually go to libraries, so stop complaining. That's all I'm going to say. We had to read stuff. We had to kill trees to read stuff, okay? And we didn't ask those trees if they wanted to, make the sacrifice. We just kill them. So don't complain about the internet to me, because I've heard it all before. Anyway, our next comic, very funny young lady from Toronto, where I don't know what the weather is in Toronto. Maybe she'll tell us. Here she is, Dina Bekowitz.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I am coming to you reluctantly from Canada. I am a New Yorker in exile. You can't deport me. I'm leaving. Sure, it's funny to you. It wasn't funny to me when I had to leave the city on 10 days' notice. The day I left, I was sobbing from morning till night. In the cab, at the airport, the other cab, the other airport. People were really nice to me. And I don't know if it's when a man sees a grown woman crying that he just wants to help her even in the middle of a pandemic, or if it's because I realized at the very end of the day that I was wearing a really low cut tank top and forgot to put my t-shirt on. So apparently it wasn't just my eyes that were puffy and swollen. I am framing that tank top. I bring that sucker out whenever I need anything. Yeah. Short legs, big tits. God can be fair sometimes. I mean, Marco, you're talking about size. And like, I really thought I would look taller on Zoom. They say the camera adds 10 pounds. I mean, I just wanted a few inches, which is also what I said to my last boyfriend, but yeah, we're not together anymore either. So I am, I mean, maybe it's because I left the country. Maybe it's because he left me for his TV. And I'm kind of, I mean, I really regret breaking up with him. I really do. He would have been the perfect pandemic boyfriend because all he wanted to do was, you know, eat really good food, drink a lot, watch movies, stay home, and have sex. I'm like, that's exactly what you want during a pandemic. But no, I had to go have a life and do comedy shows and take dance classes and run a business and get on stage. And a month later, it's like, ooh. And here's the funny thing is I did move, as I said, reluctantly. And I decided to write a book about everything that's gone on in the past 3 or 4 months because I don't even believe it and it happened to me. But the very first box that I decided to unpack, I opened it up and in it was a little silver shaped tray in the shape of a heart. Aww. Oh, right. I'm still looking for love. I guess I could always like use that tray for, I don't know, drugs, alcohol, chocolate. No offense, Isabel. We're friends. It's okay. I know there's other people watching. They're just gonna have to deal with it. I have curly hair too, but nobody wants to touch any part of my body right now. So I don't know. I'm pretty desperate. Where was I? Oh yes, the silver tray. And I opened that box, and the other thing in the box was a frying pan. And like, oh, frying pan, but this is the gift that this guy gave me when we were dating. He gave me 2 things. Well, 3 things, but we won't talk about the third one. It's all gone now, thanks to the antibiotics. It wasn't an STD. Walk of shame? What was that you talked about? The glory strut?
Yes.
Yeah, the glory strut. Thank you. So where was? Oh yeah. So he gave me a frying pan as a gift. Not he didn't hit me with it. He gave me a frying pan as a gift and a 6-pack of thongs. And gifts are supposed to mean something, right? So I took it to mean you have a hot ass. I like to see it in thongs. Okay. And you should learn to cook. I was like, but if I have a hot ass, why do I need to learn to cook? Let me tell you that frying pan is coming in very handy right now when I'm stuck at home alone with no one to go out for dinner with because we're in fucking lockdown in Toronto. This place is cold in so many ways. And I have been trying the online dating. But Toronto guys have a weird accent. They sound like they're in the middle of a cornfield. Like they sound like morons. It's the biggest turnoff. You know, like, and I normally think cowboys are hot, like the naked cowboy in Times Square, right? He's aged kind of well. And then you have the cowbells every night for the healthcare workers. I'm like, it's New York City. Where did cowbells come from? But I'll go with it. Farmersonly.com. You know what? All I need to turn me on right now is a really good Brooklyn accent, Queens, even Long Island. I mean, I just need to talk to a New Yorker and I'm good. And all I want to say to these guys in Toronto is like, shh, don't speak. Don't ruin the mood. Don't speak. But the problem is online dating now is only talking because we're in freaking lockdown. I'm horny, I'm frustrated, I'm lonely. And it turns out I'm a really lousy cook, you guys. The frying pan is useless. The thongs have come in handy. So yeah, if you know any cute guys with Brooklyn accents who know how to cook, send them to me because I'm gonna be stuck in this country for a while. I miss you all. I love you all. Those are my men. This was my time.
Give it up for Dina. I got a frying pan as part of my divorce settlement, and it's like, what is it? It's like The Odd Couple. And I know like 2 people will get that reference, but I don't care. I know Jim got it, and obviously James. Ooh, Emily, watching some reruns. Did you ever get a frying pan in a divorce?
I got all the pots and pans in the divorce.
Well, that's awesome.
Wait, you guys got a divorce?
Yes, we got a divorce. Heard of it's
Slacking
different
off, damn
divorces.
it.
Multiple people in this chat have been divorced. Okay. And I'm sorry I don't have a Brooklyn accent. But it doesn't matter. Even if I did, they won't let me into Canada. They won't let any of us into Canada.
Didn't you want me to adopt you at one point?
Um,
Somebody on this show asked me to adopt. Am I right?
I have.
Oh, that was me, I think, because my wife and I want to get away from Trump, but now he's
Yeah,
Okay.
not president. But
Yes.
No, I
Yes.
still love
Anyway, let's
Canada,
move
so,
on.
you know.
Let's move on. No more frying pans. Unless they're part of your set. If you're doing a thing about frying pans, I'm really sorry. Okay.
I mean, that was my biggest.
Yeah. Well, you have to. We just burnt your material. Anyway, our next funny lady, Meg, hot-eyed, and she is going to make us laugh and cry ourselves silly. Right, Meg. Let's give it up.
Woo! Meg!
Thank you. I really always, my goal is laughter. Sometimes, crying's the side effect that just happens. So apologize in advance for this. But, guys, coming to you from Brooklyn, New York. So New York City, like most others here, actually. And people here always just think I'm like not American because of the eyebrows. And like, truth is, I'm half French, half Italian, but I just tell people that I'm Italian because the French are such snobs that even like the French side of me hates me for not being completely French. I'm from upstate New York. And, as soon as people hear that, they always say like, oh, you must love the fall with the foliage and the mountains. But I really have mixed feelings about fall because my first memories of fall involve being thrown onto a hay wagon in the dead of night with a bunch of strangers while a man with a mask came within 2 inches of my face with a saw, and the wagon stopped and let him. You ever heard of this? It's called the haunted hayride. This is what people do in upstate New York. So, and I'm a 90s kid, so, they didn't actually have age minimum requirements on these things. So my parents thought, yes, 7 is perfectly appropriate for them. They take you onto this hay wagon and they leave you off in the middle of the night in a cornfield. And they say you have to go through the corn maze in order to get back to your family and be able to go home. Now, there's a serious flaw in that system. If you're, say, traumatized by what you just underwent on said wagon, you might hide in the cornfield in between the maze for hours and not come out. So, good for them. They do send a search party, I found out, which is great. But you would think, to the aid of a 7-year-old, you're going to send like the high school kids who are working in the back, the ones with like brightly colored t-shirts who are embarrassed to work there at all. Like, you'd think that's useful. But no. This place actually sends all of the monsters that all too recently just try to kill you on a wagon. That is like sending Jaws to go find the lost swimmer. So I really I have mixed feelings about fall. I no longer live in upstate New York, because I said I'm in New York City now, and I'm actually the first woman in my family to ever live alone. Wow. Which means I'm the first woman in my family to ever master the self-administered Heimlich maneuver. Not for safety reasons. This is like purely for pride, because I can't tell my parents that I moved to New York City to pursue my dreams and have them find my body 3 weeks later covered in goldfish with 50 first dates on in the background. And I always have people say like, oh, you're a woman living alone in New York City. You feel safe. I'm like, yeah, it's the safest I've ever felt. Now when a murderer comes into my building, they have to go up an 8-floor walk up in order to get to me. It was interesting when I first moved to New York City. I was dating this guy a while back, and was at his place, and went to get something from his closet, and there were just 50 decks of playing cards and a jacket. And I kept thinking, serial killer or magician? Serial killer or magician? I would have been much more comfortable with serial killer. Because you just have to find yourself at a diner at 2 a.m. with 20 magicians once. Just some pretty serious life questions. I always tell people, that I'm more spiritual than religious, right? We've all heard this before. Not because I don't believe in religion, but because Catholicism and food allergies just don't mix. Like, for me, going up to receive communion is a dangerous game of Russian roulette. Like, instead of the priest saying, like, do you accept the body of Christ? He should be saying, this body was blessed on machinery that also processes peanuts. And I've had an allergic reaction to the host in church before. And while I'm sitting there in the pew with my family suffocating, he's thinking, like, what's the police report going to say? Like, murdered by God in church. Like, I've heard of divine intervention. I just didn't think God would send Mr. Peanut to do it. So now I tell people that I am Catholic, but I have a very severe Jesus intolerance. All right, guys, thank you so much for having me on that note.
So don't date magicians. Is that your final answer?
Don't accidentally date magicians because there will be more than one surprise coming your way.
Okay, that's good. I'm not going to date any. But what if a magician had a Brooklyn accent and was looking to move up north? And okay, I'm just. Hey, I'm not a matchmaker. Okay, I'm just thinking out loud. Thinking out loud. I just looked outside, and the snow is really, really coming down. And it reminded me of a problem I had last winter, a really unfortunate incident. I lost a glove. And the problem is I didn't lose 2 gloves. I lost 1. Okay, and now I'm looking all over for my left-handed glove. And I don't want to throw away the right one because as soon as I throw it away, I'll find the other one. So now I've moved twice since then. I'm carrying this glove with me, and I'll probably have it for the rest of my life. And I've decided that I'm going to die someday. Don't have a choice. And my kids are going to unpack the boxes of 1 and 2 gloves, and that's it. That's their problem, not mine. Just next time, I hope I lose both gloves and solve all my problems. Yeah, you people in Los Angeles don't understand. Gloves. We wear them on our hands when it's cold. I grew up in Southern California. I could make those kind of stupid jokes. Anyway, our next comedian has a full set of cookware. Doesn't have a Brooklyn accent, but is extremely funny. Emily Page. Let's give it up, people.
Thank you. Yes, I have a full set of cookware, but I can't really cook. So it's doing nothing but collecting dust in my new cabinets, which is great. That's okay. I'm here for jokes. But when I'm not telling jokes on Zoom shows, I actually work as a middle school English teacher. And we have been back full time this year, back in the building, which is great because I personally have always wanted to know what it's like to be part of a life or death science experiment. And I'm really curious to see how that works out. No, honestly, the kids are so good this year. They're so quiet because of the masks, which honestly goes to show we should have muzzled them a long time ago. Before the show, James and I were talking because we're both working remotely tomorrow because of the snow day, which kids apparently are no longer allowed to have snow days anymore. Now they have to work remotely. And honestly, the only thing I'm looking forward to about that is the mute button. So I don't have to listen to them complain that they don't have a snow day. So it's great. No, but I am super excited though, because this weekend coming up is my 1-year anniversary of my divorce. So super excited. Thank you so much. Super excited to celebrate. I think I will open a bottle of my favorite wine, put on my wedding video, and just laugh at that idiot in the white dress. Gonna have a great time. When I first got divorced, my friends were asking me what I did with my wedding ring. They were like, did you trade it in for cash? I was like, no, I traded it in for freedom and happiness. Sometimes when I tell people about my divorce, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And it's always really obvious to me that those are the people who have never been married. Just being honest here. No, I sound very cynical. And it's not that I'm against getting married again. I just think next time it'd be a lot more realistic. Like even my wedding vows would be more realistic. I'll be like, I take you to be my second choice for convenience and for lack of trying, for richer or at least a 401k, in sickness, unless you throw up, or in health, unless you have a 7-figure insurance policy, as long as we both shall live, or until I find someone better. Short and sweet. I do have a 2-year-old daughter named Ava, or as I like to call her, birth control. No, I do love her. And I'm not saying she's a psychopath, but she does laugh every time we watch The Lion King and Mufasa dies. So there's that. No, it's funny. Before you become a parent, you really don't know what you're capable of. Then you become a parent and you just realize what you're capable of doing. Like before I had my daughter, I never realized why parents were always complaining that they were tired. Then I had my daughter and spent many nights wondering how much Tylenol was enough to make her sleep, but not kill her. You gotta be really careful. No, sometimes I do feel like a bad mom, like sometimes after I tell that joke. But one incident when I went back to work after having my daughter, everybody was coming up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, you must miss her so much. And I was just like, who? Yeah. I'm the first of my friends to have a kid. And a lot of them ask me what it's like being a mom. And I tell them basically being a mom is having to pee all the time, but never being able to go by yourself. You'll see. It really is. I was actually talking to a friend of mine from work, and she was telling me how our insurance policy lists pregnancy in the same category as attempted suicide. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. She's like, why? I'm like, well, they both end your life. So not that different. Dating as a single mom has been really interesting. I was talking to this one guy and he was like, I understand that I'll never be number one in your life because that's your daughter. And I just want you to know that I'm okay with being number 2. And I was like, she's like 5th. So you're like 9th at best. I just feel like guys get the wrong idea about me because I'm a single mom. Like they think I want more children, but I just want more sleep. Or they think I'm looking for a baby daddy and I just want a babysitter. My friends do try to help me out though. One of my friends was trying to set me up with this guy. She's like, I met this awesome guy. He's just a lot younger than you. And I was like, I'm not that old. So how young is this guy? Like, does he have a curfew? Can he go out on school nights? Does he have his license or do I need to pick him up? Does his mom need my number in case of an emergency? And most importantly, how much does this babysitting job pay? I'm Emily Page. Thank you guys so much.
Ooh, Emily.
Oh, Emily, loved it. The best stuff about being a parent is when you hear from the non-parents tell you everything you're doing wrong. And they're never going to
Yes.
do that. It's
Oh, yes.
like I was the first in my family to have kids, and my brothers were all like, oh, I'm never going to feed my kid Kraft food. I'm never going to let them watch TV with commercials in it. It's all this stuff. And then as soon as they had kids, they forgot all that stuff. You know, they forgot that putting the kid in front of the TV is a hell of a lot easier than. So ignore the advice, turn it into comedy, and thanks a lot. So
Thank you guys.
we're going to have our headliner next. And I know he doesn't like big announcements.
Not at all.
So I'm just going to say this. He has an Amazon special called Not Dead Yet, which is a really clever name. Except every time I hear that, it's like, okay, that sucker's going to make a lot of money after he dies. So he's really either the nicest guy in the world, leaving money for his, wife and his kids, or he doesn't have a good business agent. I'm not really sure, but he will explain. Our headliner, Jim Mandrinos.
Woo! Whoa! How are you guys? Doing good?
Excellent.
We'll take the woo. A woo's good. You were right the first time, Stuart, to say wives. There's a plural of that. But I don't learn. That's, I think, the biggest thing in my life. Just many times I've done the married thing. And here's the whole thing. If you get divorced once, you can claim you married somebody with issues. But the second time you get divorced, it's clear you're the problem. That is, there's no doubt. Like if you divorced 2 times, it's, we now know the variable. We now get what the constant is. My first marriage, though, I don't claim to be legitimate because I got married at 19, which is way too young to be married. Like I didn't have the maturity to be married. Here's how immature I was. At my bachelor party, we played D&D. That should tell you something right there. That should be something that restricts it at that point. And I did. I was an 8th level paladin on Friday, and I was a husband on Sunday. That is not a way to go through life, is all I'm saying. I am in a better place now, thankfully. I do have some habits I picked along the way. Like Stuart was talking about losing gloves, which we've all done. And I also lose a lot of socks every time I dry any of my laundry. And so left over from my bachelor days, I have no problem wearing mismatched socks. You know what I mean? Like I don't even bother pairing them anymore. I just pull them from the dryer, throw them in the drawer, whatever 2 I pick out, that's what's on my feet. And it bothers people. It bothers people to an extent that it's unrealistic how much it bothers people. And so I've like one of my exes was there like, if you keep doing that, we're gonna break up. And I'm there like, well, now I have to keep doing it just for the story. Because if you're going to have a story of the pettiest reason why somebody broke up with you, because my socks are mismatched, boom, that's it right there. But I don't just wear mismatched socks. During the winter, I have zero problem with mismatched gloves, which apparently is a major faux pas. Like if your gloves are not the same color, literally strangers will walk up to you on the street and go, your gloves don't match, right? And I'm there like, I don't want anything in my life to invite this much conversation. Clearly if my gloves don't match, I am clearly antisocial. Why are you talking to me? Clearly I have issues. You need to go away. The winter is not my finest shining hour to begin with, because I have seasonal affective disorder. You know what that is? SAD. That's the acronym. SAD. That's what you want. You want the doctor to tell you, you're sad. And they're like, yes, I am. Can I get a fucking pill for this? Can I get something that makes me not want to open a vein for this? And like, really, people go, is it that bad? Is it really that bad that you have to have your own disorder about it? Or are you just a little down in the dumps? So I can explain it to you. I'm really good up until about Thanksgiving. And on Thanksgiving, I just want to spend time, carve the turkey, hang out with my family. And the day after Thanksgiving, I just want to carve up my family and hang myself. It's, again, the same activities, just redirected. What's really bad is exactly what's happening now. Snowfall. Like people go when it's snowing, oh my God, it's beautiful. I live in this quaint little town in northern New Jersey that really, really does look like the town from It's a Wonderful Life. Like, I literally can run down the courtyard in my building. Hello, Mr. Peabody. Hello, Mr. Sherman. I'm alive. Although if I were doing that, that would be a cry for help at that point. I'd be like, hello, Mr. Peabody. Hello, Mr. Sherman. Kill me. That's what I would be yelling. It would be a little bit different. What else can I talk about? I'm getting older. And we all get older. You can't avoid that. But it's when you start realizing things. Like, my first significant physical relationship was when I was 16 and she was 35. Much older reach. And now I realize, doing the math, that my age, if I added the 19 years, she'd be dead, is what I'm realizing. and that's where you start having issues. Like, things change. And I don't know how you guys are with change, but I definitely don't like change. Like, I don't like change at all. And a friend of mine goes, well, change is good. It means that new things are happening in life. No, it means I need to learn more shit. And I think we get to a point in life where we should be able to legitimately go, hey, I know there's more stuff to learn, but I'm out. I'm full. I got all the learning in me that I can. So if you're going to put a new stoplight on that street, I'm just going to run it like it's been a stop sign, because I'm not learning that there's a stop light on that street now. And the other thing is, where did the time go? Like, there's a couple of guys here that are in their 50s, and this feeling. You wake up one day and you start thinking about something that you did the other day, and then you go, oh, that wasn't too long ago. Oh, that was in 2001. 2001 was 20 years ago. Fucking kill me! You get that moment. Do you know what I'm saying? We're just the reality of what's happening. And here's why that kill me comes into play, because you think back to that moment and you think about how old you were at that moment. And then you realize that moment was a full adult lifetime ago. And it just makes you realize that you're much closer to being dead than you are to being born. Because that's the barometer that we have. And there's a tipping point in our lives. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I don't know how you guys were as kids, but I was a runaway as a kid. I was a miserable human being as a kid. Constantly got into fights. Let me put it to you this way. My dad knew the police by first name. That is how often the police would bring me home. So the narrative in our house was, Jim is probably going to be dead when he's 25. That was the narrative in my house. Like, the over-under that was placed on my family of absolute degenerate gamblers was 25. That was my life expectancy right there. And I'll be honest with you, most of my family took the under. I'll be really honest with you. I took the under. That is, I knew at that moment it wasn't a good. And then I got to be 25 and I'm still here. So, like, it's been borrowed time since then. People are there like, well, what'd you do with the borrowed time? Did you go skydiving? Did you parachute on or something? Did you bungee jump off a bridge? And I'm there like, nah, man, I just lived. That's what I did. I just kept going. And you realize as you keep going, you hit milestones. And I want to talk about the scariest milestone that you come across as an adult. And here's why this milestone is so terrifying, because your memories from childhood, you don't remember a ton from childhood, but what you remember is vivid and it's connected to you emotionally. So one morning I wake up, it's not a bad day. It wasn't during the winter, so it wasn't during the sad times. It was a good day, just an average day. I went to bed, I was feeling good, and I woke up and I swung my feet off the side of the bed to get up, and as I sat up, I went, ugh, which was the noise my dad used to make when he woke up. And then I'm there like, holy fuck, I just made my dad's noise, which is the worst feeling in the world. Like at that point, I would have rather made the shriek that happens when somebody plunges a knife into your throat. I would have rather made that noise than make my dad's noise, because I didn't just think about my dad's noise. I just thought about my dad making that noise, and then my dad watching baseball games in his underwear on a Saturday. Then my dad turning on the baseball games on a Saturday and falling asleep and not actually watching them, changing a light bulb with a butter knife. I remembered all like the bad getting older march my dad had, and just my entire forward moving life flashed before my eyes at that moment. And that was the moment that I felt old. That was the moment where I just went, it's over for me. It's done. It's just a downward spiral. And that was over 30 years ago. And it's just been getting worse since then.
Oh my God.
It's just been rolling. I'm now making the sounds my granddad used to make. And I didn't even know who my granddad was. I'm just assuming these sounds are the sounds that my granddad would have made. Well, you guys have been awesome. I'm going to turn you back over to your able-bodied host. And keep it going one more time for Stuart. First time ever hosted. Stuart. Woo!
Thank you. Let's round of applause for all the comments for the audience. We're going to have a lot more shows during this pandemic. Jim, Not Dead Yet. I guess I was wrong. It was the right title.
Yeah.
But still, it's still going to make a lot more money when you die. I'm sorry. It's the that's how you sell records if you're a rock star. You have to die in a plane crash. So hopefully that won't happen for another 40 or 50 years. But in the meantime, keep on rocking. Anyway, Jim, when's our next show?
Next Wednesday, same time.
Next Wednesday, 8 o'clock. More funny comedians. And hopefully we'll be out of the snow, except in Canarsie, where they're just letting it melt, okay? So I want everyone to have a good night. No walks of shame, okay? Just have a great one.
Bye, everybody.